Are you ready to make a scrapbook layout with a fantastic border? Today we're going to use the Swell. So today we're going to make a travel related one, and we're going to use the in-flight decorative border punch. I also have some of these stickers from Passport to Adventure, and I've been wanting to use these, and I think these photos are just perfect for it. And I have a couple of scrap papers, but I'm not calling this a scraps only just yet. I'm using this gorgeous paper from Global Getaway. It is from the regular designer pack. There have been a lot of products coming out in this Global Getaway theme, including one of Creative Memories' complete album sets in the Global Getaway theme, meaning the color palette, the theme of the papers, they all coordinate well together. I purchased the bundle, which included the designer paper pack where this paper came from, a tone-on-tone paper pack, cardstock, and this punch, along with stickers and matte packs and some other embellishments. I have to say that the Global Getaway collection is my favorite travel collection that CM has put out. So let's get started. I'm going to start by making a border with the in-flight border punch, and this color is Songbird Blue. And Songbird Blue is not one of the colors listed on the paper pack. But for what I envision, this is the perfect color. I was thinking baby blue at first, but when I went through to see if I had a scrap, because I didn't need to cut a full sheet of paper yet, this color stood out and I went, this isn't baby blue. And I went, oh, it's Songbird Blue. So my plan for my layout is to make a fantastic border to go across the top and another smaller border to go across the bottom. My wider border at the top is going to have several layers, and my bottom border will only be about 1 inch wide, and that's where I'm going to put one of my border stickers. The in-flight punch is a knockout style punch. So it will create a negative space of the clouds, the cloud with the sun, and the airplane. And it's going to make beautiful knockout pieces. So the negative space will be what the design of our paper is going to be. Because it's a knockout, it means that the top edge is going to stay straight and the bottom edge will be attached. So I'm going to give my top edge of my paper a decorative edge with my 12-inch trimmer and a decorative blade. The first step is to put in a decorative blade, and the one I'm using is the one called Rhythm. And it doesn't seem to matter which way I put the blade in my housing here. So I put it with the word Rhythm facing my words Creative Memories, which is my usual. Now when I'm cutting what I call a waste cut, or a piece of paper cutting away to get a decorative edge, I usually just line my paper up on the right dotted line, which is about a 1/8 of an inch cut. I feel very comfortable with making a cut of that width. I'm most comfortable cutting towards me and press hard. So now I've put this decorative edge on my Songbird Blue cardstock, and I like that better than just a straight edge. Now I'm going to just line up my paper. I've always punched to my left, so I'm going to use the line on the left. If you punch to the right, use the line on the right. Now this makes the most beautiful punch out pieces. I'm going to save them. Next, I want to back my punch out here with some white cardstock here. This is bright white, and I'm going to put some behind it. So I need 1.5 inches to cover my border. So I'm just cutting a 1.5 inch strip to put behind my in-flight. So this is next of how we're looking at our border turning out, and I like this. But before I adhere the blue onto this white, I want to now cut my border. And as far as I'm concerned, here comes the fun. Here's my swell template that I'm going to use. I'm going to be using this shape here, the one that's closest to me. And I'm going to be referencing from these lines right here. And you see that it says R, G, and B. Now I'm using my red blade, so I'm going to use this R line. Now I've put my paper on my 13 by 13 inch mat where it's lined up to the far left line, which is kind of the 0 point. So I've put my template here with this shape. I want this curve right here to be pointing towards the top of the border. So I'm lining up my R at the 2.5 inch line. And over here, it's the 9.5 inch line up here at the top. So 2.5 inches is where this little R line hits. Now, there's no reason to be very precise about this. It just helps me to kind of gauge how wide my border is going to be. So I'm using peel and place tape to help keep my template from shifting. So I'm using my red blade. That's why I use the R line. If I was using the, say, blue blade, I would put the B line at 2.5 inches. So far I've just used a red blade with these templates and worked with that. And before I move anything, I want to make sure I got a good cut all the way up. And I did. And I'm careful about removing the peel and place tape so I don't tear my paper. So I love that. And now I'm going to take my 1.5 inch strip of white and put it behind here. And this is the border that I'm going to be coming out with. Now, you don't know how tempted I am right now to pull out the inks and do some inking. But as I was planning this border, this was one time when I said, okay, I don't necessarily need to ink, even though inking would be gorgeous. Maybe I'll do it over an ink. So this time, I'm putting some repositionable tape. I'm putting it around the designs. That's where I want the best stick. So I put repositionable tape around the design because I want to make sure that that is where I get the best sticking, adhering, and pull that over. And that's gorgeous. That's gorgeous all by itself. And I think it's gorgeous on the page. But you want to guess, I want a little bit more, right? I found this strip of cool gray, and I'm going to punch some airplanes with my punch. I just need 5. So I'm going to just put the cool gray in till I cover the airplane. And I'm going to put my punched out airplanes right here. Now, I've done this technique with other punches, and this is nothing revolutionary. And I'm probably going to put them on some foam dots. I just love it when I can use small scraps and punch out things like these airplanes to build this layout. So I have these tiny foam squares, and I think each airplane needs only one. So to make sure that I put my foam dots on the correct side of the airplanes, I want to make sure that they're facing the opposite direction of the ones on my border. I think I need to cut some foam squares in half. I think this shows up better on camera on this mat, so I brought it over. Now I'm tending to hold them by the nose and trying to kind of fit the tail into where it would go if it was flat. And that's given me good positioning. And I think that's so pretty. And I'm going to put it on my background paper right here. So I want something to represent the sun, this big circle here. And I looked at a few options. I tried the cyclic circle, and the circle that it punched out was too small. I thought of putting something behind the blue paper, but I realized I wouldn't get my circular shape that I wanted. So when I looked around to see what I could get to come the closest to this circle, came up with the 3-in-1 scallop circle. So kind of the bad news for me is that punching 5 circles with this punch is going to take a lot of paper. Now this has 3 settings, and the one I'm using is setting number 3. And let's give that a punch and see if it's going to give us what we want. And this is from, I don't know which paper pack. Maybe one of the gradient paper packs or totally tonal. I don't know. I think it's totally tonal. Pumpkin. So this is what you get with number 3. What I want is the smallest circle. So I'm putting this scallop circle over the circle here. The scallop does give it a bit of a sunshine like flare, and the clouds really make it look like the sun is among the clouds. And so that's as close as I can get to what I'm trying to do with the tools that I have. And I'm sad that I don't think this tool is something that everyone will have access to. I must say, I really like this. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere down my little sunshine circles. And if you can think of a better tool to use than that scallop circle trio punch, please leave a comment so I can try it again with that. But I'm loving how this is. You can put your adhesive here or you can put it there. I'm putting it in the circle. I don't know why. And that's a pretty, really pretty border. There are things you can do. you could take a shimmer pen and put a little sparkle in that little spot right there. And I'm going to pull out my inks and I'm going to ink my border. So I'm pulling out my nautical blue and I'm going to ink my border. Okay, I like that. I inked the edges of the border with nautical blue. I just took the ink pad and rubbed it against it. So I cut off a little bit with the rhythm blade of dark sea green. And if measuring is not your favorite thing to do, and actually I'm going to pull this over and make it closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put my sticker down on my paper and then I'll cut it when I'm finished. Now, the one thing about Creative Mirror stickers is that they're very sticky. And so I try to get it right on the first shot. So I'm looking at this, and if I cut it 1 inch, I will get the size I truly want to have. So if I cut it 1 inch, it's going to be perfect. But if you don't want to measure, just put your paper in. You can use your guidelines to see that you're going to have good clearance. And you know what? It's the guidelines are saying give me a little bit more than an inch here. And I'm using this little dark line here on this little plastic piece to kind of just tell me where I'm going to be. And I'm keeping in mind that my blade does have a shape to it. And this is telling me that my sticker is not perfectly straight, but there we go. There you go. So here's the base of our page, and I really like it. I was a little questioning about using the dark sea green, but it turned out to be the right choice. I could have used navy, and it would have worked just as well. All that's next is to get my photos down. And this is a story, there's some trimming to do. And these pictures are from the little map shown in the seat of the airplane. And so I'm going to go away and trim my little photos and get them positioned. Oh, okay. You know what? I think this is a great spot for journaling right here. So I'm going to go away, work on journaling, maybe a few more embellishments, but frankly, I think these borders are plenty embellishment for this page. In looking at my photos, I trimmed them down because they were just shots of the screen that showed our route. And this one is the camera installed in the airplane as we were landing at the home airport. And it's so good. I did not have a window seat, so I couldn't look out the window and see anything, but I thought this was so cool. And I wanted this photo here to have a mat around it. It looks a little washed out on the background paper. And I found this variety mat card is part of the Global Getaway Bundle. So I like this dark blue on this paper. But when I put my photo down, I don't like the photo on the dark blue directly. And flipping the card over, I like the photo on this lighter background, but the lighter background doesn't look good on the paper. So my solution is going to be to just double mat this. I'm going to cut a white mat to go around the photo and then put that on here. These variety mat cards are 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And so I'm going to cut a white piece of paper. I'm going to use an old index card here to make a mat that's 4.25 by 6.25. So when I put that in between, then that will give me a really good look. Now I'm going to channel Beckie Belote. And if you've ever seen Beckie, when she has a mat card like this with a good journal spot inside of it, she will cut it out. And I'm going to do the same because I do like this as a journaling spot. Now, will I use it on this page? We'll see. So I'm going to go and do some cutting to get our final photo ready to be adhered. So I'm about to adhere everything down. And so I took my journaling spot and I gutted it. I pulled a Beckie Belote. And if you've ever watched her videos, she will take a variety mat card and cut away a frame from it. My job of doing that was nowhere near as nice as hers. And then I cut a piece of white to be an extra layer. And then I'm going to put my photo on the white. And now that gives me a look that I love. Now this still makes a very beautiful journaling spot, but it's too large for this layout. So I'm going to put this aside to be used on a different layout. And I'm going to find something to be a journaling spot here. And I don't think I need any more embellishments on the page. I may look through the stickers and see if I see something that sticks out to me. But I'm really pleased with this layout. I love this border. I love using this border sticker. I love the variety of color, the orange, the gray, the blue, songbird blue on the blue background. And I'm playing around with where I would place this large photo, whether up here or down here, and put a title and some journaling here. So, well, we'll be back with the final layout in a moment. I use the mini ABC 123s in the blue, not the navy, just the blue. And then from Spring Equinox, I found this mat card that I cut in half, but I selected it because it's blue and it matches that color, which came from Global Getaway. And then I took this white and I wrote my journaling. I'm really pleased with how this layout turned out. And I hope this layout and the video have inspired you and that you will like the video, subscribe to the channel, and YouTube says there's another video you may like. So I hope that you'll watch it also.